I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving weekend. How did that affect the Northern Virginia real estate market? Stay tuned to find out. My name is Sean Price. I'm with the Price and Price Group here at eXp Realty. There was a significant drop in activity over the last 7 days, more significant than we've seen in the holidays for quite some time. So the overall activity dropped quite a bit, but how did that affect the pulse of the market, the feel of the market? How did that affect buyers and sellers? Well, basically what happened is the sellers that had priced their properties appropriately, those properties went off the market very quickly. They went off the market with multiple offers, even over the Thanksgiving holiday. We had several properties that had been sitting for quite some time that went off the market again over the Thanksgiving holiday. So there was a lot of buyer activity over the holiday, but inventory dropped dramatically. So therefore buyer activity had to follow it. So a lot of the inventory that was on the market moved over the Thanksgiving holiday. It was really kind of interesting because I had several buyers that had gone out of town, came back, were planning on coming back in town to write a couple offers, and when they came back, the properties were gone, and these properties had been on the market for over a month in both situations. We had some properties that went really quickly. It had just come on the market and went over the Thanksgiving holiday with multiple offers. So basically, the situation in the market has stayed the same. We've got a little visitor back there. The situation in the market has stayed pretty much the same. If a property is priced correctly, and correctly for its location, correctly for its condition, and correctly for this market, to be honest with you, then they're still moving very quickly. Properties that are overpriced are sitting. So for example, yesterday we went out and looked at two townhouses. Both were priced right around $340,000. Both of these properties, when I ran the market analysis on them, should have been priced in the 320s to the 325s, because that's what the previous sales were. That's what the market was showing as the market value. In the market 6 to 8 months ago, that 320 to 325 value would have warranted a 340 listing price. Now that does not warrant a 340 listing price, and both of these properties are sitting. So the challenge with it is these two properties that we looked at, they both looked like they were rehabbed. So they were purchased, and then the investor put money in, remodeled the property, and now has it on the market based on those property values or market values of 6 to 8 months ago, and now the properties are sitting. So that's one of the things you have to really be in tune with. That's why watching a weekly market report is important, even for investors, because if investors are running on old information and they're flipping based on old information and they're not seeing what the market trends are doing, then they make choices that put them in situations like these two investors are in right now. So I hope that makes sense. But basically, as a seller, it is still a really good time to sell as long as you're logical, as long as you get out of the emotion. So we have a saying in real estate: in a seller's market, the investor wants tomorrow's price because they know the market's going up. So they want the price that's going to happen tomorrow. In a buyer's market, the seller wants yesterday's price because they want the price that was the most valuable. So the seller's always looking for the most money, and there's that emotional component with it. The seller never wants what the price is, the market value is today. So if you're a seller, you've got to really be logical. You've got to really have an agent that's looking at the current values, looking at what's happening in the market, looking at the patterns of what properties are selling. You may think that your house is the best one on the block. You may think that your house, it has all the great features, so therefore it's worth $40,000, $50,000 more than the last comp. And that's great emotionally, but you have to look at it logically, because the truth of the matter is, the closer that you list your property to the actual price that it's going to sell, the quicker it's going to sell and the more money you're going to get. But if you start trying to play the strategy of, I'll go high, I'll see what happens, I'm not in a hurry, let's give it some time, those properties get stale, and eventually buyers see these properties that have been on the market for 20, 30, 40 days, and they start giving low offers because they feel like there's negotiating room. So from a seller's perspective, you just got to be really logical. Now is the time of logic, not of emotion. From a buyer's perspective, make sure that your agent is running the market analysis for you on the properties that you're offering on. You still need to be reasonable with your offers. They still need to be made at market value, especially if the property just came on the market. I'm meeting a lot of new buyers right now that are immediately looking for a discount. They don't even know what the market value is. I'll meet them at the first showing and they'll look at a price and they'll say, okay, it's priced at $500,000. I want to offer them $430 because it's a buyer's market. It's not that market right now. Properties, there are situations where that's warranted, but it has to be based on actual market value. It can't just be based on I'm getting a discount off of the sales price. So it's a time right now for both buyers and sellers. It's a great opportunity for both, as long as you look at things logically and as long as you know how to work the market that is in the current situation, not what the media is saying and not what you necessarily perceive it to be. You have to look at the numbers and know what's going on. Okay, I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions about it, I'm happy to jump on a one-on-one call with you and kind of go through your situation personally. Okay, so let's dive into the numbers. Let's see what the numbers look like for the past 2 weeks, because we did not do a report over the Thanksgiving weekend. So let's look at what the numbers are for the past 2 weeks, and we'll go from there. All right, so as you can see, for the last 2 weeks, buyer activity has dropped 44%. So that's pretty significant, but it's following inventory, because inventory has dropped 49% in the last 2 weeks. So you can see we had a drop in inventory, which is our blue line, and then we had a significant drop over the Thanksgiving week, which does not surprise me at all. During this drop, we actually had an uptick in buyer activity, because buyer activity tends to follow what happened the week before. So we had an uptick in buyer activity, and then we had a significant drop in buyer activity as well, because with inventory dropping like this, there wasn't much inventory for buyers to be able to purchase. So the trend, if you look, we had a downward trend. Oh, come on, there we go. We had a downward trend for quite some time, and then we've pretty much leveled out as far as the trend is concerned. Now, we did have a downward trend here, but that was the holiday week. So it'll be interesting to see what happens over the next week or two, now that we're out of the Thanksgiving holiday. But the point in me showing you this is the market took its nosedive here with the interest rates and the increase in the interest rates and the fear of everything that happened. And now that we've kind of stabilized, the fear is kind of wearing off a little bit. The buyers are coming back into the market, but they're coming back in, the ones that still want to purchase are coming back in. There are still a lot of buyers sitting on the sideline right now. I'm recommending to buyers that now is the time to come in. The trends are showing, in our market, the trends are showing that the market's starting to stabilize, and we're actually moving into another seller's market, and I'll show you that in just a second. So I'm advising buyers that now is the time to buy. If you're interested, you've really got to start looking right now before we get into the spring market, because there will be an increase in inventory in the spring market, but there's also going to be an increase in buyers. I've heard 2 different lenders tell me that they're projecting that the interest rates should settle down around the end of Q2 in 2023, around 4%. Now, will that happen? I don't know. Trying to predict stuff like this, everybody's an expert, everybody's making predictions, but the simple fact of the matter is if you look at the market right now, it is stabilizing here in our area. So for buyers, it's a good time to get in there, because you can still try to get some offers in there, but the activity is going to start going up again pretty soon. Sellers, you're going to start having a lot more competition. So I feel like it's a great time to list as well. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so buyer's market versus seller's market. Come over here and you can see that we had, I think the last market report that we did put us right here, and then we had a bump up, and we were right there, was the week before Thanksgiving, and then the week of Thanksgiving we went up yet again. So we had, we were here, the last market report I did, and then the week of Thanksgiving, the week before Thanksgiving, we went up and then we came down. So basically the trend is we're going into that seller's market because buyer demand is higher than inventory. So again, keep in mind what drives prices is demand versus supply. If there's extra supply versus demand, prices tend to come down. If there's extra demand versus supply, prices will tend to go up or at least stay the same, which in this market I tend to think they're going to stay more the same. I don't see a huge increase in prices right now. But the simple fact is the demand is there, the supply is not there. So unless we see a huge uptick in inventory, I don't see the situation arising where we're going to get a significant decrease in market values. It's just what I'm seeing right now. That's the trend that's been happening over the last several months. What's going to happen in the future? I just feel like it's a mistake if buyers are holding out because they think there's going to there's going to be a big market crash in our area. I just feel like that's a big mistake. I feel like you're missing an opportunity right now. You don't follow the herd. When the herd is pulling back, that's when you go and that's when you buy. That's when you can get good deals. That's when you can get discounts. The situation is not going to be ideal. There's going to be something that's causing the herd to stay back. Right now, it's interest rates. So while those interest rates are doing that and the herd is staying back, that's the time for you to go out there and really take advantage of opportunities. Because when these obstacles leave, the herd's going to come back in and that demand is going to skyrocket again, and we're going to end up in another situation like we did over the last couple of years. So I hope that makes sense from the buyer's perspective. From the seller's perspective, there's a lot of equity in your properties right now from the last couple of years of that significant appreciation. You can still recapture that equity as long as you're strategic with your offers. The buyer demand is out there and the competition for sellers right now is so low because there's very little inventory. Okay, so again, if you have any questions, please get in touch with me. I'm happy to jump on a call with you. We can talk about your situation personally, whether you're looking to invest. It's a good time to pick up investment properties. Whether you're looking to buy, there's opportunities for getting good retail value properties at a fair price with your contingencies in place. And if you're looking to sell, as long as we can be strategic about it, we can talk about what can happen for you. And if you have realistic expectations, it's a fantastic time. If you're just going to test the market and see what you can get on a property as a seller, it's not the time for that. You're not going to get above market value right now. I hope that makes sense. Okay, all right. I'll see you on the next video, and please let me know if you have any questions.